Welcome to Win English Lab. Let's begin.
I'm Anna.
And I'm Jake.
And today's episode is a B2 level English conversation about bad habits, why they feel so hard to break, and why the more we fight them, the more they sometimes pull us back.
But before we go deeper, answer honestly. Have you ever told yourself, don't open that app, and then your fingers opened it anyway?
Jake, please do not expose me in the first 30 seconds.
I am not exposing you. I am observing human behavior.
Fine. Last night, I looked at my phone, then I looked at my fingers, and I whispered, don't do it. You don't need to tap that app. You are stronger than this.
Wait, you were talking to your fingers?
I was giving them a firm warning.
Did they listen?
They opened it immediately.
That is exactly why today's episode matters. Sometimes your brain says, don't, but your habit says, too late, we already tapped.
And the strange part is, I wasn't even enjoying it after a while. I just kept scrolling.
That is the part so many people understand. You know the habit is not helping you, but in that tiny moment, it still feels stronger than your plan.
Maybe you are listening right now and thinking, yes, that is me. Maybe it is your phone, late night snacks, pressing snooze, delaying English practice, or watching one more episode because the last one ended on a cliffhanger.
And today we're not going to say, just be stronger. We're going to understand what's really happening inside a habit, gently and clearly.
Because changing a habit is not about hating yourself into a better life.
Exactly. By the end of this conversation, you will understand why bad habits feel so powerful, why fighting them can backfire, and how small, gradual changes can help you build a better path.
And stay with us until the word tour today, because this is our upgraded word tour. We will not just give you quick meanings and move on.
We'll slow the words down, look at their different forms, show how they work inside real sentences, and help you understand how to use them naturally when you talk about habits, mistakes, self-control, and fresh starts.
Because sometimes you understand a word when you hear it, but you still don't feel confident using it in your own speaking.
So today, the word tour will help you move from I know this word to I can actually use this word.
And if this episode already feels useful, please like the video and subscribe to the English Leap podcast. It helps us keep making calm, real, everyday English conversations for you.
Now, before we begin, tell us honestly in the comments, what is one small thing you keep doing automatically, even when you told yourself you wouldn't?
Is it opening an app, checking messages, pressing snooze, ordering food, or starting one more episode because the last one ended on a cliffhanger?
Ah, yes, the very modern Netflix trap. One cliffhanger and suddenly sleep is just a suggestion.
Very dangerous. The episode ends with one shocked face and now your whole bedtime is gone.
So tell us in the comments. Start with I keep and complete the sentence.
For example, I keep picking up my phone to check the time, and somehow I end up checking everything except the time.
Or I keep pressing snooze and then running around like the morning betrayed me.
That one feels personal.
I know, a little too personal. But seriously, we really want to read your answers. And now, let's begin. Why do bad habits feel so powerful, even when we know they are not helping us?
You know, I think the reason it feels so frustrating is that we already know. Nobody wakes up and thinks, I have no idea that eating cake at midnight is not ideal. We know, and we still do it. And then we feel guilty about it for the rest of the morning.
Right. And I think that guilt is actually part of the problem, because we go straight to blaming ourselves. I have no self-control. Something is wrong with me. But we skip a more useful question, which is, why is this habit here in the first place?
What do you mean?
So here is the thing. Most bad habits did not arrive randomly. They usually started because they were doing something for us, giving us something we needed: comfort, distraction, escape, control, relief. Maybe at a very specific time in our life, that habit actually helped.
Okay, that is actually kind of comforting. And also slightly annoying because now I cannot just be angry at the habit.
Exactly. You have to get curious about it instead. So I will give you a real example. A few weeks ago, I kept walking to the fridge late at night. Not because I was hungry. I knew I was not hungry, but I kept going anyway.
What were you looking for?
Honestly, I think I was avoiding going to sleep. My brain was still buzzing, and opening the fridge was a way to delay everything. It was not about food. It was restlessness, looking for somewhere to go.
Oh, Jake, that is too real. The fridge as a solution to a problem it cannot actually solve.
And Anna, this is where the word underlying becomes useful. Every habit has an underlying reason, something hidden beneath the surface that is keeping it alive.
Underlying. What does that mean exactly?
So, underlying means hidden beneath the surface, like roots under a tree. You look at the tree and you see the trunk, the branches, the leaves, but underneath, the roots are doing all the real work, even though you can't see them.
So the habit is what we see, but the underlying need is the root we're not looking at.
Yes, and the habit might be opening the fridge, pressing snooze 7 times, rewatching a whole series instead of sleeping, or checking your phone the moment you wake up. But underneath, the underlying need is usually something like, I'm tired, or I feel anxious, or I want to feel in control of something small, or I just need a moment that is only mine.
That last one, a moment that is only mine. I feel that one.
And here's the thing about English learners specifically. Sometimes a learner avoids speaking English not because they're lazy or not trying. The underlying reason is safety. Speaking feels exposed. It feels risky. You might sound wrong and someone might notice.
So the habit of switching to your first language or deleting the English comment before you post it is not really laziness, it's protection.
Exactly. The habit is not the problem. The habit is a signal. And if you never look at what it's signaling, it's very hard to change.
The habit is a signal. I like that. Okay, so the habit exists for a reason, but what is actually happening right before we do it? Because sometimes it feels like it just happens.
Right, and that's the part that most people miss completely, because there's always a moment before the habit. Always. A small pull, a small feeling. We just move so fast that we skip right past it.
Like, the hand is already reaching before the brain joins the meeting.
Yes, and that pull, that feeling right before the action, that is what we call an urge.
Urge. So like a strong wanting.
Yes, an urge is a strong feeling that pushes you towards something. It is not the action yet. It is the feeling right before, the itch before the scratch.
Okay, so I feel the urge to check my phone, but I have not checked it yet.
Right. And if you catch it there, at the urge, you actually have a choice. The problem is that most of the time, we do not catch it there. The urge rises and we act so fast that it becomes an impulse.
Impulse? Is that different from urge?
Very different. An urge is the feeling, like a wave building inside you. An impulse is the fast action that happens before your brain has really finished thinking. It is like your hand moving before your brain has finished speaking.
My thumb has its own management team. Nobody consulted me. The urge was still loading, and my thumb had already opened 3 apps.
That is the impulse. No meeting was held. No vote was taken. The action just happened.
So the urge is the wave rising. The impulse is when you fall into the wave before you even notice it was there.
Exactly. And the gap between those two things, the urge and the impulse, is where everything happens. That is the tiny moment where change is actually possible.
But you have to notice it to use it.
You do. And most people never learn to notice it because nobody teaches us to look for it. And this matters a lot for English learners too. That moment right before you switch languages, before you delete the voice note, before you close the tab, there's an urge first. Usually it's discomfort or fear or just that familiar pull towards something easier. And if you can learn to notice that urge just for a second, you create a little space before the impulse fires.
And in that space, you get to choose.
In that space, you get to choose.
Okay, Jake. But what about the people who do notice? They notice the urge, they decide to fight it really hard, they say, absolutely not, I'm done with this habit forever. and then somehow it gets worse.
Ah, yes, this is the part nobody expects.
Because that sounds like the right thing to do. Notice the problem, decide to stop, be firm.
It sounds right, but here's what can happen. When you push against a habit with too much force, I will never do this again. Starting today, no exceptions. I'm a completely new person. The brain can actually push back hard.
Why?
Because dramatic, sudden change feels threatening. The brain does not love sudden, and when it feels threatened, it creates resistance.
Resistance? Like it fights back?
Yes, resistance is that inner pushback, the feeling of I do not want to do this when change feels too strict, too sudden, or too heavy. Think of it like two people pulling opposite ends of a rope. The harder you pull on your side, the harder it pulls back on the other.
Okay, Jake. So I say no sugar ever again, and suddenly my brain becomes a lawyer for cake.
A very passionate lawyer, with a full presentation, slides, and everything.
Your Honor, my client, the croissant, has been unfairly dismissed.
And the brain wins, because resistance is very persuasive when you are tired or stressed. And remember, the habit was already meeting an underlying need. If you take it away forcefully without giving the brain anything else, the underlying need is still sitting there getting louder.
So the habit comes back stronger because you tried to rip it out instead of replacing it.
That is a very good way to put it. Force without replacement creates a vacuum, and the habit rushes back to fill it.
This happens with English learning too, doesn't it? Someone says, I must study for 2 hours every day. I must speak perfectly. I must never forget a word. And then English starts feeling like a punishment.
And the moment English feels like a punishment, the brain starts resisting it. Not because the person does not want to learn, but because the pressure is too heavy. The resistance is not laziness, it is self-protection.
So being strict with yourself is not always the same as being disciplined.
Not always. Discipline that creates resistance is not really discipline. It's just pressure with a different name.
Okay, so we should not fight, we should not force, but we also can't just do nothing. So what actually works?
What works is gradual change, not dramatic, not everything changes on Monday. Small, repeatable, realistic.
Gradual? Like slow?
Slow and step by step. Gradual means you're not trying to jump from one end to the other in one big leap. You're building a new path, one small step at a time.
Okay, but what does that actually look like? Because gradual can still sound like vague advice.
Fair. So instead of I will never check my phone in the morning, you try I will put my phone face down for the first 10 minutes after I wake up. That's one small action. Not dramatic, not scary, but it's a tiny new path.
And you do it again the next day. And again.
And each time you do it, the path gets a little clearer, a little easier. Think of a forest with no path. The first time you walk through, there are branches everywhere. The ground is uneven. It is hard. But you walk it again, and slowly the ground starts to smooth out under your feet.
So the new habit is the new path, and the old habit is the old smooth path that has been walked 1,000 times.
And you are not trying to destroy the old path. You are just building an alternative, something the brain can choose instead.
A polite staircase, not a cliff.
Exactly. One step at a time. It does not shout at you. It just offers a direction.
And I love that this works for English learners especially, because one English sentence a day does not feel impressive. One short voice note does not feel like studying. One useful phrase you actually say out loud, it feels too small.
But those small things are the path. And every time you walk that path, even for 30 seconds, it gets a little more familiar, a little easier to find next time.
So we are not asking for 2 hours. We're asking for one sentence, one moment, one small step onto the new path.
And that's enough to keep the path alive.
That feels much more doable. But, and I want to be honest here, even when we go gradual, even when we're kind to ourselves, even when we're doing well, sometimes we slip. We go back. And that's the part that feels the worst.
Yes, and I think this might be the most important part of the whole conversation.
Because the slip happens, that part is almost guaranteed.
It is, And when it does, when you press snooze again after 5 good days, when you miss English practice for a week, when you watch 4 episodes and tell yourself it was only going to be 1, that's called a relapse.
Relapse. Is that a strong word for everyday habits?
It can sound clinical, I know, but relapse just means returning to an old habit after making progress. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It's just you were on the new path and then your foot found the old one again.
And that moment feels terrible.
It does, because the brain is very good at turning one slip into a catastrophe. I ruined it. I already broke the streak. It doesn't matter now. I might as well just keep going.
I already ate one cookie, so I might as well eat everything in the kitchen logic.
The full kitchen, yes. And the problem is, that thought turns a small relapse into a much bigger one. One missed day becomes a week. One late night becomes a new pattern.
So the slip isn't the problem. The response after the slip is.
And the response most people give themselves is shame. I'm so weak. I always do this. I will never change. And shame, this is the part worth really hearing. Shame keeps the habit alive.
Jake,